Hello everyone, my name is James and welcome to My Thoughts, a series where I play some games and give you my thoughts on them. And this episode, we're going to take a look at Watch Dogs Legion. So the way that I want to do this is basically I'll talk about the things that I liked and then we'll move on to the things that I didn't like so much about the game and then kind of wrap up with my overall thoughts. So we'll start with what I liked. I've got a list here of things, and I'll just kind of talk about them one by one. They're in no particular order. Just kind of wrote them down as they came to me. So the first one that I liked was the world. I think this is probably Watch Dogs' strongest aspect. The world is just so well done. I really enjoyed traveling London. I thought the world was really colourful. I liked a lot of the character and detail that they put into the city. I loved that when you come across random NPCs, they may like you or dislike you based on things that you've done, even though you've never seen them before. It's just that person has a connection. I thought the world was just so well done and really, really enjoyed that. The next thing was the intro mission. Honestly, the intro mission set this game up so well, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I thought that it had a lot of not suspense, but kind of like that thrown into it, where it was obvious where it was going, but actually getting to the end of that mission was, in my opinion, so much fun. Thought it introduced a few of the mechanics really well, and some of the characters as well quite well. Um, that kind of leads me on to the next part, where part of what I liked was parts of the story. Not all of the story, but I'll get into that in a bit. There were parts of the story which were quite engaging. I found some missions to be quite interesting. Now, I don't want to talk about any missions in particular because I don't really want to go into any spoiler things, but there are a few missions that definitely stand out as a highlight. But yeah, it's only part of the story. Um, then the next thing is Bagley. Now, Bagley is your AI companion, or maybe not companion, but well, he's always with you. So yeah, he's great. I thought he was voice acted very well. I thought his writing was very good. He just had that nonchalant thing about him where because he was this robot, he doesn't care what happens to people really, but he does at the same time. Um, he was just really good. I found him funny, I found him entertaining, and probably one of the best parts of the game as well. Also, he's got a very specific mission, which I don't want to go into, um, but it's probably the best mission, like, or at least not mission chain, but the end mission is probably one of the best in the game for him. Um, then we'll move on to the customization. Now, the game offers a lot in the way of customization. You can do your clothes, you can do your weapons, and you can do the vehicle, change the way your vehicle looks. I haven't really touched on this because one of the trophies is that you have to spend 100,000 cryptocurrency on clothes alone. So the game doesn't throw cryptocurrency at you. I think I finished the story with about 70 or 80,000. Um, I've got enough now to do that trophy, but I didn't want to spend money on clothes all willy nilly until I actually had enough to be able to do this trophy. And the game's quite weird with their trophies. There's a lot of problems where if you do tracking things across different characters, the game doesn't track it really well, so it's recommended to do like all of the collection things on one character. So, but I digress. But while I haven't touched it that much, I appreciate that it's there, and I think the customization was actually quite a lot, at least visually, to see. Um, and then the final thing that I quite liked was the ability to tackle pretty much every mission how you wanted. It was either stealth or guns blazing. Um, it was up to you to decide how to do it. I'll talk about a little bit more in a bit of how I went about it. But generally, I try to go the stealth route. So yeah, I think that's everything that I really liked about the game. It was the world, the intro mission, some parts of the story, Bagley, the customization options, and the freedom to tackle the missions how you want. Now, what I disliked about the game. Again, this isn't in any order, it's just kind of how everything popped up to me. The first thing is the voices. Yeah, the voices are terrible. I'm not saying the voice acting is terrible. It's just the writing. For 99% of the characters in the game, they seem to be either these posh people or basic roadman. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's just so irritating. Everyone just seems to speak in slang. And yeah, I get that London is a multicultural city. I understand that. But yeah, I don't know. Just I think they went too far over the top on this one. I ended up skipping a lot of dialogue that wasn't to do with the main story just because I couldn't deal with these people anymore. Then that moves me on to probably the biggest issue I had. Well, one of the biggest issues I had with the game was that the majority of the story just, to me, sucked. And I put this down, I think, to the fact that there's no protagonist. There's no one main character. I guess you could argue that DedSec is the character and that all of the operators are DedSec. But that doesn't fly with me. I got taken out of a story so many times when I would complete a mission with somebody where I saved somebody or helped them, I can't really remember. And then a few missions later, I'd recruited somebody else, so just decided, yeah, I'll start as that person. And this new recruit had a conversation with the person I saved previously where they were talking like they'd been friends forever and in DedSec together forever. And it just kind of, that whole thing, there's no relationship building really between the characters. I think the game really, really suffered because it didn't have one main character. And I understand that's the whole thing of the game, is be who you want, you can recruit anybody, but I think the story majorly suffered for it. I'm not saying they can't get it right in another game, but maybe the writing just has to accommodate that a bit more. Also, for the most part, the story was kind of boring. Like I said, there were a few good missions, a few cool story arcs for certain villains, but overall, there was nothing that really pulled me in. Next thing was the enemy AI. Yeah, the enemy AI is terrible, like absolutely terrible. There was one part where basically two guards were standing right next to each other, looking at each other. I managed to distract one of them by hacking his phone, do a stealth attack on the guy standing right in front of him. Once the stealth attack ended, the guy was still trying to stop his phone from distracting him, and I was then able to do a stealth attack on him. And you're also able to just lure the enemies into traps that are just so easy. They just didn't pose much of a challenge at all. And this I found also actually played into a lot of the missions. A lot of the missions were just boring because, yes, you could go guns blazing, and you can if you want to, but it's so much easier to use the stealth option because you can manipulate the enemy AI so easily. It just makes the stealth option so OP. And then when you combine that with some of the overpowered abilities such as Shroud, Auto Shroud, and Cloak, stealth just becomes a breeze. If you have to actually fight somebody, once you beat them in melee combat, you just shroud them, which hides their body. If you do a stealth attack, it just auto shrouds their body. And then if you do get caught, you just use the cloak to go invisible and then do a stealth attack. I found myself a lot of the time sneaking up on one enemy, doing a stealth attack, and then using my stealth cloak to then do another stealth attack on the person who just seen me do a stealth attack. So yeah, I don't know. because the game is just because the enemy AI is just so easily manipulated, I don't see the point in using the guns blazing route. But that was just me. Um, the next aspect I didn't really like was the drones. Now this was mainly only early on. Later into the game, once you get the ability to actually hack the drones and turn them against the enemies, they become less of an annoyance. But early game, I found the drones to be so annoying. They spot you all the time, I found. Again, they weren't hard to get away from, but I just found them an annoyance, really. Um, so then there was the whole thing about recruitment. I found the recruitment process, again, really boring. There was not much to it. You basically scan somebody, um, see if you like them or not. If you like what they have, you could either add them to your recruit list or sometimes just speak to them directly. Um, but after the first couple of people that I recruited, I was so bored with the recruitment missions. Um, but once you get the deep dive ability, which I recommend you get straight away, you can kind of skip the main mission and just go into the deep dive and look at what they're actually struggling with and just go and do that straight away. Now, generally, that basically is just go hack this person's phone. Sometimes knock the person out or incapacitate them, but generally it's go hack this person's phone. Once you've hacked them, the person then wants to join you. It's as simple as that. I don't know. I found the whole recruitment process to just lack something. I'm not saying it's terrible. It's just, it wasn't great, really. Then there is the skill variety of the operators. And again, I found this to be really lackluster. It was basically either they're a combat person or they're a stealth person. Kind of that's about it. You do have other people that will bring abilities such as if your if your operators get arrested, you have some people who can get out of jail quicker and some people that allow the team to get out of jail quicker. Same thing with doctors; they can help heal people better or help the team heal better. But aside from that, it's basically just some people are better at fighting and some people are better at hacking. For the most part, I didn't really find the difference in their skills to be that interesting. And this is further or made worse to me as well when you put permadeath on. Now, as far as I'm aware, if you are killed by lethal damage with permadeath on, your operator's dead. If they are taken out with non-lethal damage, then they are hurt or arrested. The problem with this is I played on permadeath. The only time I had one operator die was when I kind of got bored and just went guns blazing in a mission. Didn't really think what I was doing and he got taken out by lethal damage. The rest of the time, whenever I went through using stealth, I never once got into a situation where I was going to be taken out with non-lethal damage. It just, I don't know, it just didn't affect me. If I was going to play the game now, new, fresh, I'd probably recommend playing it on hard with permadeath off, because permadeath to me kind of takes away those perks of those people who can help your operators get out of prison and get out of the hospital quicker. So yeah, that's kind of what I didn't like. So we'll just go over them again. There was the voices, majority of the story, no protagonist. The enemy AI was bad. The missions were boring. Didn't like the drones. There's a few overpowered abilities. The recruitment process wasn't fun. The skills weren't varied enough, and permadeath kind of is a bit lackluster. So overall, while it does sound like I completely slated the game there, I don't think Watch Dogs is a bad game. I just don't think it's a great game. It's good. It's kind of fun at times. Most of the time, I actually just have fun traveling London. But I just wish they could have done a bit more with the recruitment process. I think if they do make a Legion 2 or a Watch Dogs 4 where they use the same recruitment style aspect of the game. If they improve the recruitment, if they improve how the story relates to not having one protagonist, I think the game could be really good. I definitely think there's a good foundation for that style, but at the moment it's just not here for me. Um, but yeah, that is my thoughts on the game. Let me know in the comments if you agreed or completely disagreed. And if you liked the video, please leave a like, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.